As you'll know if you've watched years of my phone show, an iPhone of some description has always been part of my top 5 phones spots twice yearly. The iPhones have been noteworthy since at least the iPhone 5S, since they brought in fingerprint authentication and made everyone's life easier. Every 6 months I'd find myself recommending that year's iPhone, usually in my top 3 as slick and foolproof, yet without actually switching to one as my primary phone myself. This changed a few months ago, and you'll be asking yourself, what changed? In a sentence, Apple made an across-the-board step up in performance in their hardware at the same time as Android manufacturers around the world collectively shot themselves in the foot and went backwards. I was able to justify to the wife keeping my review iPhone 11 Pro, shooting this very phone show, and with stellar video I should add, which is part of the benefit. I haven't really looked back. No, this wasn't some huge, oh my goodness, the iPhones around the world were right all along and iPhones have always been better moment. I'm not that shallow. Here's what changed. The iPhone 11 Pro had way better battery life than the XS, such that I don't even bother plugging it in to charge each night. I literally do not bother. Half an hour on my car Qi windscreen mount charger and an hour on my desk Qi charger each day is completely sufficient. No cables needed, no lightning, don't need one. The iPhone 11 Pro is just amazingly frugal. The 11 Pro has an astonishingly good camera system, as you're seeing right now. The first triple unit for Apple, and all three are locked in terms of focus, exposure and white balance, meaning super easy switching between the zoom lenses. When I bring up that little rotary slider and zoom in and out smoothly, it makes people's jaws drop. Add in deep fusion algorithms to render incredibly precise textures and less intrusive sharpening than the Samsung, Huawei, etc. competition. Add in a totally automatic handheld night mode, and I'm happier with this iPhone 11 Pro camera system than on any phone since my fabled Lumia 1020. Apple also knocked it out of the park with its stereo speakers. They've always used good components, but Apple added in Dolby Atmos on top, and they did some excellent frequency mapping to render bass notes in music. Now, normally, phone speakers just can't reproduce frequencies under 100 Hz, but Apple's audio pipeline takes sub 100 Hz frequencies and remaps them into the 100 to 200 Hz range. So rather than your YouTube music video or movie missing all its base content, you actually hear it all. Maybe not at a gut-wrenching 30 Hz as the makers intended, but you do hear it. On any other phone speaker system, there's just, well, nothing below 100. Go on, test all this for yourself. So 3 factors that I prize, all receiving a big step up from Apple. But there's more in that iOS is finally maturing, and iOS 13 is now just about fit for purpose for geeks like me. You can share content between just about anything. There's a kludge of a Files app and mini file system, but it does all work on the whole. I did have to resort to iTunes on my Mac to get all my video content on the phone in an accessible form for watching offline, but that was just about the only hurdle I had to vault. Apple's applications are now all feature complete on iOS's 13th iteration, plus I've now overcome any guilt in using my favourite Google applications and services as well. So Gmail, Google Docs, Google Maps, all installed, working just as well as on Android. Plus the best of the Microsoft world with OneDrive and its 1 terabyte cloud, not only accessible, but my preferred auto backup system for my iPhone photos. I even managed to make my iPhone home screen look less like a wall of icons. In my mind, this helps my brain make sense of things. It's a personal thing, and it took a grand total of 10 milliseconds to get used to Apple's gesture navigation, mainly because Google utterly copied Apple's system for the Pixels and Android 10, and I'd already got used to that on the Pixel 3 XL and the Pixel 4 phones after that. But surely the Android world would have been improving across the board too? Well, actually, no. I'd argue that things have stagnated or even gone backwards. Yes, processors have been getting faster, RAM quotients have been getting larger. Yes, more phones are now coming with higher megapixel counts across more lenses in their cameras, but raw computing power does not always equate to a better experience, while high megapixel cameras only improve photos if the pixel binning is done intelligently. The old Nokia 808 and of course that Lumia 1020 did it right. The new quad Bayer sensors, 48 megapixels, 64 and even 108 megapixels, aren't as subtle. and usually ruined by overzealous sharpening and noise reduction when neither are needed. Witness my previous show and the Nokia 7.1, though Huawei, Xiaomi and others have all committed similar image processing sins, in my opinion. Then there's authentication. Now, mature and foolproof capacitive finger scanners, here's the Galaxy S9 Plus Instant Foolproof, have made way for in-screen optical and ultrasonic sensors. In theory, more convenient since they're on the front of the phone, but their speed and reliability has varied wildly from utterly terrible Nokia 9 to just about okay, the best of Huawei and Xiaomi. Then Google went all in on face unlocking on the Pixel 4 series, their tech equivalent to Apple's Face ID, and this works very well, but then they forgot to make it easy and obvious for app developers to tie into this, and we're still not remotely out of the usability mess this has created. I'll revisit the Pixel 4 series in 2020 when applications have caught up. The camera really is very, very good indeed, as you'll see. Meanwhile, in an even sadder corner of the phone world, my PetOS Windows Phone, in the guise of the very latest Windows 10 mobile branch, is about to receive its very last update, and then Windows on phones will be officially 100% out of support. So, we have iPhone hardware, shooting this, jumping up massively in capability across the board. We have iOS maturing and embracing extensibility in many ways. Then we have Android hardware struggling to stay afloat in a sea of change, plus the usual software and OS branch mess. We have the third ecosystem, Windows, now disappearing under the waves in a sad stream of bubbles, leaving me using the iPhone 11 Pro shooting this, and I have to say, rather enjoying what it offers with my beloved Galaxy S9 Plus, now almost 2 years old, with my secondary SIM in, and I argue doing just as well as Android flagships launched in the last few months because nothing has come along to fully replace it. So that's the state of play. That's what's changed. Your comments welcome. And of course, we'll be covering this more in the Phone Show Chat audio podcast.